The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. As always, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. Scotty Minter back in the house. Scotty, how we doing?
Back in the saddle. I'm good. Chomping at the bit today.
Tom, you missed last week because you went to the Pirates Indians game, right, in PNC.
Yeah. Pirates, Guardians.
Guardians,
Anthony.
jeez.
Come on now.
Oh man, it shows you how much I've been watching baseball, and my
But
27 and 74 Royals are just killing it.
hey, you guys beat us on
Could win the
Monday,
series
though.
today, Scotty.
Yeah, you could win the series. How about that?
Probably be like our second series victory of the year.
And the Twins are playing well right now, so it doesn't look too good for the Guards.
We are historically bad at baseball this year, and a lot of our fans, Scotty, are really upset because all of our executives are talking about, instead of trying to make the team better or trying to tell us in what ways they're trying to make the team better, all they're talking about, all we hear from the GM and the CEO and the president or whatever you want to say, all the people up top, all we're hearing from them is about the new stadium and how much they're excited about the new stadium. And fans are just screaming like, win on the field first, then we'll talk about a new stadium.
Yeah, it's really true. Like, the Browns way back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, when they were actually contenders with Bernie Kosar. I mean, that stadium was a dump, but nobody cared because they were
And then
contenders.
well, Kauffman Stadium is 50 years old. I'm like, well, Dodger Stadium's like 100 years old, and no one complains about that one. It's like, Fenway's really old.
Wrigley.
And we just renovated in 2010. They just want it downtown to boost the economy of the Kansas City metro area. That's the only reason they want it. Any other reason that they're trying to sell, that they're trying to lie to the Kansas City people?
Yeah, you're not. I know you're not.
Want a stadium in Kansas City so they can boost the economy of Kansas City.
Yeah, and I really don't. I mean, I get that, I guess, but Kaufman always looked like so beautiful.
They just came out and said that it'd be like cool, but they're trying to put it up in a white flag in a flag of other stuff. Like, we're trying to do all this, and it's like, no, you're just trying to make money for the city. Just say that. Like, let's all be real with each other. Let's all be transparent with each other, and let's just say that, right? Yeah. It's smoke and mirrors, Scotty.
Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors. Talking about smoke, what's not smoke and mirrors, Scotty, is some of the young athletes that we have representing our area in the state tournaments and in the regional tournaments. And as far as Little League goes, we have the 10U Boardman and Canfield softball team still alive. They played each other last night in the winners bracket final to go into the championship. It was Boardman that came away with a 2-0 victory. This is 10U softball in the state, which means Canfield's still alive. And Scotty, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the stories that have been popping up on YSN, but Canfield has been just running roughshod over everybody else in the bracket. So if I was a betting man, which I'm not, especially on Little League softball, that's a big no-no. But I would definitely not be shocked if Canfield goes right back into the championship game and wins the losers bracket final here today, because I think it's clear and obvious that Boardman and Canfield are both the best teams in that bracket, hands down.
It's something it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch for sure. I've been trying to follow as much as I can. It's been a little hard with work and then my therapy that's been scheduled, but it's you mentioned Canfield just been on a tear, so it's really something to.
Yeah,
In Boardman,
Boardman's been on a bigger tear.
yeah. So I mean,
These two teams, Scotty, have played each other 4 times now, possibly a 5th if they both get to if Canfield gets back to the championship. Boardman's already there, so they could play for 5 times this summer. Boardman has now won 3 of the 4. Canfield won the very first meeting of the summer 2-0, and Boardman has won the last 3, including the 2 that took to win a district, where they had to win 2 in a row to win the district championship coming out of the losers bracket. So Boardman kind of has Canfield's number of late, but the last game and the first game have been close. The middle 2 were kind of Boardman runaways. So very interesting on how this will go. Julia Putko from Boardman, Scotty, she has thrown 4 no-hitters since the district, I guess you would call them the semifinals. They had to get out of the losers bracket by beating Austintown, and then she threw a no-hitter against Austintown, threw a no-hitter against Canfield to force to win the championship. Boardman threw a no-hitter, but it wasn't Putko. They kind of switched because of the innings limit. So first game against Canfield, Boardman threw a no-hitter. It wasn't Putko. It was Audrey Huff. And then the second win that won them a district championship, Putko threw a no-hitter. She threw a no-hitter in her first game at state. She threw a no-hitter in the next game at state, and then she threw a no-hitter yesterday against Canfield. Julia Putko is just on a different level right now.
That's really unbelievable. Given like somebody like Nolan Ryan.
I mean, like, it's nuts. I mean, let's look at these numbers from. I'm gonna pull them up from last night, because pitching on both sides was incredible. But Putko is, just like I said, on a stratosphere right now. So against Canfield yesterday, I guess you can call it yesterday afternoon / evening. This is Putko's final line: 6 innings pitched, no runs, no hits, 15 strikeouts, 2 walks in 6 innings. So out of 18 outs, 15 of them were strikeouts.
That's like hard to do on like a video game.
And it ended. I mean, it nullified a very good pitching performance from Clara Enfield from Canfield. She went 5 innings, gave up just 2 hits, 1 earned run, struck out 10, walked 1. I mean, that's a good way to win most of the games. But when the other pitcher throws a no, then you're just out of luck,
Yeah, you're SOL. I
Your
guess.
SOL didn't, your SOL. We all know what that means. But
Yeah.
just it's amazing to see what Putko has been able to do ever since Boardman lost their first game in that district against Canfield, which was the, I guess you could call it the winners bracket semifinal. So the winner would have gone to the winners bracket championship. The loser had to fight their way out of the losers bracket. So Boardman loses that game 2-0, and they get 2 hit. And ever since that moment, it seems like this Boardman team, especially the pitching, has just been on lockdown. Would be an understatement.
Yeah, for sure. That's like, to be able to just mow opposing hitters down like that. And then not only do you get well over 10 you get 15 strikeouts and 2 walks like that. Having that control is
And then
it's crazy.
if that pitching wasn't good enough, if you weren't impressed by that, so this was not an offensive heavy game. Boardman only had 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 RBI. The RBI came from a triple by guess who? Julia Putko. So there you go. She had the only RBI. She had a triple on the day. Vanessa Torres had the other hit for Boardman. Yeah, that's stepping up on both sides of the plate. Hitters that can rake, Scotty. Pitchers that can rake, I mean.
Yeah, pitchers that can rake, and it's man, when you're able to be a dual threat like that, it's almost like it should be illegal. So,
It could be illegal. Someone call the police, man. Scotty, the other Little League softball team that is still alive, of course, is Austin Town's 12U team. They're in the regionals, one step away from the World Series. They won in an elimination game yesterday, and it was one of those games where they once again got a really good pitching from Mila Hamley. She gave up 1 run in the first inning, but then shut down. Oh, geez, these games are running together. I believe they played Michigan yesterday. Hold your ears, Ohio State fans. They played Michigan, that team up north. They did. They played Michigan. 5-1 the final score. Mila Hamley, after giving up 1 run in the top of the first, shut down the rest of the game. She gave up 5 hits, 1 run, struck out 9, walked 0 in the 6 innings pitched against Michigan. Big offensive performance from Seneca Coates, the top of the lineup, Scotty, 2 for 2, 2 RBI. One of the best games that she's had since districts. I mean, the pitchers have been able to really kind of keep her quiet at the top of the lineup for most of this run, but she came up really big time for her team yesterday with those 2 RBIs. And you know, she's one of the fastest players in the state of Ohio, so when she gets on base, she can cause a lot of havoc. Another RBI for Bella Bumgart. She's had a great district, state, and regional tournament for Austin Town. Those were the 3 RBIs they had. The other runs that they scored were unearned on Michigan errors. So you look at it, they were down 1-0, tied the game in the bottom of the first, Scotty. Then the big 4 spot in the third was the difference. That was the only scoring that happened in this game. The rest of the innings were clean, well pitched. Just that 4 spot that Austin Town was able to get in the bottom of the third inning, with some help from Michigan's defense, was, like I said, the difference. They win 5-1. They advance to today, where they're going to have to win a doubleheader if they want to stay alive in this regional tournament. They have to win today, which is delayed. It was supposed to start at 1. I don't think it's anything weather related. They came out, ESPN Plus came out on a wide shot. They were still warming up. So I think if I had to guess, the game before them just went a little long. So it was supposed to start at 1. It'll start very soon on ESPN Plus. And if it does while we're on the show, I unapologetically have it up. So I will keep everybody updated on what Austin Town is doing as that progresses, if it starts before we go off the air. But they have to play Illinois today whenever it starts. And then they'll have to play the winner of the other loser bracket game later tonight in another elimination game. So this is the first day in regionals where a team will have to win twice in one day to stay alive. But that's just reality. So Austin Town is going to have to throw 2 pitchers today. There's no way around it. They're either going to have to throw Annabelle Mikesell in this first game and save Mila Hamley for a possible second game tonight, or they're going to have to throw Mila Hamley today in the first game and then throw Annabelle Mikesell in the second game. It'll be one of those decisions that Matt Hamley will have to make, Scotty, but we've talked about it before, especially during the state tournament for baseball, when you have to make those decisions. Who do you pitch when? I'm always in the component, Scotty, no matter what level of the sport you're talking about, you don't take wins for granted. You throw you have to win. This is win or go home. This is elimination day. So if I was the coach of Austin Town, if I was Matt Hamley, I would just say, hey, we're going to throw our best first, and then we'll figure it out tonight. I mean, we can't save our best for tonight and you know, take a win for granted. I'm never a fan of that. So I would think that you throw your ace, you throw Mila Hamley in game 1 today against Illinois.
Yeah, I agree with that line of thinking. I think you will always, if you're gonna go down, why not do it with your
Right.
why leave your best bullet in the chamber? So I think you got to go with your best if you're gonna go down, and it's that's painful to me because it's giving me flashbacks last year when the guards didn't pitch Shane Beaver in the deciding game 5, and they were saving them for the next round, and it came back to bite them. So
Hey, did I see yesterday that they put him on the 60-day DL?
yeah,
Is he out for pretty much the year?
they're saying he could come back in September, but it's
But
no
that's why even
guarantee.
bother. I mean, unless you
Yeah,
guys are in it in September, like
yeah, if
I would
we're
make that a game time decision. But back to the local softball. The one thing you can do because of there's not a pitch count limit like baseball, it's an inning limit in Little League softball. You could always throw Mila Hamley for like first 3 innings, and then if you get a lead, you can bring in Annabelle Mikesell, and then Mila Hamley would be available to start the second game. That would be the ideal situation. If you could get a big lead or a big enough lead where you feel comfortable enough to take Mila Hamley out, put Annabelle Mikesell in to hold the lead, which she is more than capable of doing. She won the game 2 days ago against Wisconsin 4-2. So Annabelle Mikesell is more than capable of pitching at this level. So I think that would be the ideal situation. If you get a big lead, you're able to use Mila Hamley for 2 or 3 innings, take her out, use Annabelle Mikesell for the other 3, and then they're both going to be available for the game later that evening. And even if you start Mila Hamley and then Annabelle gets in trouble, because of softball's reentry rules, you can put Mila Hamley back in the game once, so in the circle. So even if you take her out and Annabelle comes in and maybe she struggles a little bit, and maybe you're up by 5, and then all of a sudden they score 2 runs and put like I don't know, the winning run at the plate or whatever, or the game time run at the plate. You can bring Mila Hamley back into the game, have her clean it up, and then they still should both be available for the next game because you can pitch, I think, 9 innings in one day. I think because she pitched 9 innings in one game in their first game, that extra inning loss. So I assume that you would be able to have her available if you were able to pitch her for, even 3 or 4 innings in this first game. That would be the ideal situation, is to be able to have a big enough lead where you can comfortably take her out and try to hold that number. But this regional is not conducive to that. Every game that Austintown has been close, Scotty. They lost in extras in the first game, and then it was 4-2, 5-1. So if you're expecting Austintown to come out and get a huge lead, not exactly something that's likely if things follow the way that this regional has gone.
yeah, it seems like it's been decent pitching, and then just the not necessarily the offensive explosion, but the timely hitting.
The pitcher from Iowa, the team that Austintown lost to in 9 innings in game 1 of the regionals, Hannah Haxley. My gosh, Scotty, she was big. Like, she looked like she was already in high school. It was funny because she had like the 12-year-old face, like with the braces and just a young face. But like when she was standing in the batter's box and the TV camera behind, in center field, she looked like she was at least, 5'7", 5'8". Like, she was already built to be in high school. And I was like, oh man. And no shocker there. She was one of the best hitters on the team, and she had a really good arm in the circle. So sometimes you just hit an
That
athlete
was the 2-0
no,
game.
that was the 9 inning game where they lost to 8-3
Okay.
in 9. But that score is kind of misrepresentation of how good the pitching was, because both pitchers were scoreless through 7, and then it was 2-2 after 8, and then you could tell both pitchers were getting into the 100 pitch counts, and they were just out of gas. and both pitchers gave up a little bit in that ninth. But
Yeah.
I mean, they were both pitching remarkably well. It just it's who was going to blink first. And unfortunately for Austintown, they didn't make any errors. There were no errors in the field, Scotty. But sometimes, as you know, as a baseball and softball fan yourself, that error number can be a little bit misleading because you might not make any errors on the field, but some mistakes don't go into the statistical stat book. Base running errors, things like that, things that should be caught in foul territory. If you miss a ball in foul territory, it's not a statistical error. It won't go down as an error, but it's still a mistake. And for Austintown, it was some base running mistakes that stopped them from scoring more than they did. In fact, they had a chance to win the game in the bottom of the eighth, but some base running mistakes took them out of that rally.
Yeah, and like you said, sometimes it's that the things that aren't they're not gonna show up in the box score, but
And look, we're not harping on it. These kids are 12 years old. They're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna make base running mistakes, especially in these big moments. It's just the reality of the sport that when you're in a high stakes game that's really close, this sport's gonna come down to those little things, and those are the little things that were the difference in that game. But Austintown's hoping that they can win 2 today, and eventually, hopefully for them, they set up a rematch with Iowa. Iowa right now is undefeated in the region. They're running through the winners bracket. I believe there are 3 undefeated teams left, maybe 2 undefeated teams left. 3 teams have been eliminated, 6 teams left in the region. I think it's 3-3. I could be wrong as far as undefeated and with a loss, but Austintown has to win 2 today, and they'll start any minute now against Michigan.
Yeah, so Michigan, the team,
that team up north,
up
Michigan.
north, yeah.
We don't say the M up here, right?
Yeah, it's just the team up north, which is in some hot water, at least Harbaugh. But
I feel like there are a lot of football programs that are in hot water right now.
yeah.
Well, especially in the it seems like it's a Big Ten thing going on right now.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Northwestern, but
we don't talk about. They're like Bruno. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about Northwestern. There's stuff going on in Northwestern. There's some really shady stuff going on in Northwestern. Scotty, last thing before we take a break and we kind of give the reins to whatever's on your brain, we do want to give a shout out to the Boardman 11U baseball team. They had to deal with a lot of bad weather down in New Albany, and this game that they finished yesterday actually took 2 days to finish because of weather, and then the day before they had like a 2-hour weather delay before they lost their first game to Hamilton. But Boardman does get eliminated from the 11U baseball tournament yesterday. Final score down there, I'm going to get it. Hold on. Actually, it doesn't have the final score on the recap, but they did suffer the loss in state, and they are eliminated from the state tournament. But man, they represented their community so well. They had a heck of a district run down there at the Field of Dreams. They won their first game pretty handily at state, and then, like I said, Scotty, unfortunately, they had to deal with just bad weather down there in New Albany, and it's a lot of adversity to go through when you're hit and miss, and you're playing, then you're stopping, then you have to restart, or you have to sit around for an extra 2 or 3 hours to start a game. So a lot of adversity for those 11-year-olds to have to deal with. Boardman loses, and they are eliminated from the state. But I think that seeing how their 12U team played this year, the future is very bright for Boardman with those 11U kids coming up into the next level next year.
Yeah, it should be extremely bright, and sometimes you certain circumstances out of your control, but
totally out of your control.
As youngsters coming up, it could be. I mean, it's easier said than done to just deal with it and not be affected by it. Like it could definitely get in your head, especially like you said with having to start and then stop, and momentum's a thing in sports too,
It
and
is a thing.
sometimes that takes momentum away.
It's weird. It shouldn't be a thing. It's all momentum's been always a weird thing to kind of to comprehend and to explain, because it's like the same players are out there playing the same game, and you could be up by 20, and then something called momentum changes, and all of a sudden, you all of a sudden can't make the plays that you were making. It's like, it's all mental, I know, but it's always crazy to watch in any level in any sport momentum turn like that, because it's like, guys, what happened? Did you like get bit by a bug? Because all of a sudden these plays that you were making, you're not making them anymore. What, like,
Yeah, remember, I know this will make you happy, but remember 2 years ago the game when the Browns opened up against your Chiefs, and the Browns were in control most
they
of the
were
game,
Tyreek
and
Hill 70-yard
then
bomb.
Jamie Gillen like muffed the snap, the punt, and you had Nick Chubb fumble a
Right.
ball, which he rarely fumbles. So it's
And then that 70-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill.
yeah, it's crazy how a couple like things like that just
It's
totally
like, it's
flip.
almost like, as a like on the Brown sideline, what happened? Like, we were fine, everything was fine, and then it's
Yeah,
just like, it's crazy. Momentum is crazy, and it's one of those things in sports that I love because you can't explain it. Like, you can't explain momentum, you can't really predict it. It's just there. It's a thing. It probably shouldn't be a thing. It doesn't make sense, but it's there, and it's a reality. And if anyone says it's not a reality in sports, they're delusional, because there are multiple evidences throughout the history of sports, and we could go through a whole list of probably 100 games where we've seen the momentum turn like that, easily, between the two of us, and it wouldn't be hard.
for for sure. Yeah, yeah. Even just off the top of my head, being Cleveland fans, I have all these ones embedded. But you could say that the guards in the 2016 World Series Game 7, they had all the momentum after Rajay Davis hit the homer to tie it off Aroldis Chapman. Then, boom, rain delay. Cubs get a second to catch their breath, regroup, and then the Cubs go on to eventually win it. So
uh, I guess since you're a little bit of a homer, I can be one too. I remember in 15 when we were playing the Astros, and they had us down 2-1 in the series, and they were in Minute Maid Park, and they had a 5-run
4-run
lead in
lead.
the eighth. And it was just like, all of a sudden the Royals were just hitting single, 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 single. Wasn't like we went off with a power barrage. It was just all of a sudden all of our bats were getting to their pitchers out of nowhere. And I'm sure,
But
as a Houston fan, they were like, what the heck just happened?
that's the crazy thing. If I remember right about that team, that's the crazy thing about the Royals team. I'm always, giving you little pats on boost of happiness, talking about your good Kansas City moments. But um, that's the crazy thing I remember from that Royals team is they were kind of like piranhas. Like they would just slowly like gain before you know it. They didn't necessarily do it with power, but
No,
they
not even close, Scotty. Like, they were dead last in the MLB. Those 2 years where they went to the World Series, both seasons, dead last in baseball in home runs hit. I think in 14, when we lost in Game 7, they had like less than 100 home runs as a team in the season, which is a crazy low number.
yeah.
It might have been like the lowest number that any team had been to the World Series with a home run total since, like, back when it wasn't about home runs in baseball. But then even in 15, when we won it, we were dead last in the league in home runs. What did we do well? We put the ball in play. We were top in the MLB in strikeout rate because we didn't strike out a lot. We had a good bullpen. And that's like our starting pitching was like average, maybe slightly above average when we added Cueto in the trade deadline. I mean, it wasn't like it's one of those things you can't explain how they went into the World Series because they weren't a powerful team. They weren't, they weren't a dominant starting pitching rotation. They just had a offense that could put the ball in play consistently and a lockdown bullpen that could shut down a game if they had the lead through 6 innings.
And it was just a perfect timing because they got the best out of guys like
they had
Eric
the
Hosmer and
right.
Moustakis and Lorenzo Kane. Like they were just, that's when they were at their best. They haven't really since then,
They haven't sniffed it. They haven't sniffed it, Scotty. They haven't even sniffed what it would take to sniff. Like they're so far away that I can't even come up with a proper metaphor for how far away.
They're like baseball's version of like the 1-15, 0-16.
They're like if Earth was the size of a golf ball, like the biggest star that we've ever discovered in the galaxy would take up enough would like be the size of Mount Everest if Earth was a golf ball. So that's how big the star is in comparison. That's how big the Royals are chances of ever winning the World Series again right now. It feels like, it's like if we are a golf ball and the World Series is the size of Mount Everest. But on that note, we will take a break and be back with more things that are on Scotty's mind here on Running Point. As always, we are brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin.
Hi, this is Zell Bush.
Hi, this is Tom Flynn. Hi, this is Steve Rossetto.
Hi, this is Ryan Miller.
Hi, this is Rich Sakui from WRS Wealth Advisors.
With our combined 80 years of experience,
WRS Wealth Advisors are the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services.
Or visit WRSwealth.com.
Go Raiders.
Go Dogs.
Go Cats. Go Dogs. Go Tigers. Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Winter, spring, summer, and fall. Mill Creek Metro Parks is your park for all seasons. Make a memory in the park. Plan your visit today at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Shopping for a vehicle online should be easy and worry-free. Introducing Merge from Greenwood Chevrolet, a completely new way to buy a car that combines the convenience of shopping online with the personal touch and expertise that Greenwood is known for. With Merge, shopping is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Choose a vehicle from our pre-owned inventory, build a deal that fits your needs, and finalize the deal with our online buying team. That's car buying in a new lane. Visit greenwoodchevrolet.com and let us go the extra mile for you.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com. As always, we are brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. And here's a good tidbit. Greenwood Chevrolet is now hiring as well. Apply now to be an automotive service technician at Greenwood Chevrolet. That's what they're looking for at Greenwood. See why working at Greenwood Chevrolet is just as fun as it is rewarding. Apply at www.indeed.com/job/automotive-service in service technician. So find that job on Greenwood Chevrolet's Indeed page. Go to their Facebook page if you want a direct link. But if you want a job as an auto service technician, Greenwood Chevrolet is conveniently in the market, and there is no better place to work. If you are also in the market for a new or used vehicle, make sure to check out Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Scotty, Austintown 12U softball is underway. They're going to be the away team, and Seneca Coates just lead things off with a base hit into left field. So that's a good start for Austintown.
Let's go.
Seneca Coates is now 3 for 3 in her last 2 games so far. And Austintown gets off with a bang. Runner on first, nobody out. And that will bring the next hitter to the plate. And Austintown, if they win today, here this afternoon, they will play Missouri later tonight. Missouri won earlier this morning against Nebraska. So Missouri is awaiting the winner of this Illinois versus Ohio Austintown game.
Yeah, nice. I always like that name, Seneca, too.
Seneca.
Well,
it always reminds me of the Hunger Games. Because isn't that one character named, well, it's Cynic, but it's close.
Yeah, it's close. But I think about, too, the Browns, this is back when they were pretty terrible every year. Now they're just like mediocre every year. But they signed like Seneca Wallace, and like all the Browns fans were like trying to get excited, and I'm like, we do this like these players, they haven't really proven anything, and we do this every year, but it's still kind of the same. But
Seneca Coates has proven a lot. I don't know about Seneca Wallace, but Seneca Coates has proven a lot for Austintown, as Kate Averill is now at the plate with a 1-2 count, runner on first, nobody out. Scotty, while we watch this Austintown game and we watch it develop for the next 20 minutes, what's on your mind? What did you bring to the table today for things to talk about?
Yeah, well, I'm really excited. I don't know if you saw it, Anthony. I assume you did, but last night there was an extreme rarity in baseball, as the Atlanta Braves they turned an 8-3-5 triple play at Fenway Park.
I have to try to that 8-3-5. That's what, center to first to third.
Center to first to third, yeah.
Jeez, man.
You're good, Anthony.
How does that happen?
If I didn't already watch the highlight, it would have took me at least a minute or two to get that. But your mind is better than mine. But
all right, I have to try to like in my mind decide how that happens. I'm guessing, was it caught at center field? And then I'm guessing it was caught first and third off the bag for a tag up?
It was actually, wait, because I'm thinking about it now. Was it center?
Well, if it was 8, it was center.
Yeah, so it was center, and then he got picked off he caught it and got picked off of first, and then a runner was trying to advance to third, and they gunned him at third.
Oh, so the runner tagged already at second, was trying to go from second to third after they played to first.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that makes more sense, because it's like with nobody out, how in the world do you have 2 runners with that far off the base with nobody out, and you have a hit in the center field? That would have been crazy. But yeah, that's nuts. I don't think I've ever seen a 8-3-5 triple play before.
Yeah, they said it's. I think I read it's the first one since it's like 1884 or something.
It's the first one. We're not even if you have to go back that far, it's the first one. Like I'm not even
anyway,
1800s baseball.
Kind of going off that, Anthony. I'm not saying as far as being sports fans, I mean, we've been doing this a long time now at YSN, and I just wanted to know. I'm not saying like you see something that rare, but what are some of the most rare sports moments in your time? If you could give me a few that kind of stick out in really any sport.
Let's see. Well, I was in a stadium for a triple play before, and it was in professional softball. Um, it was a line drive. It was not as rare, probably. It was a line drive to short, and then she stepped on second through to first. So it was kind of a 6-4 triple play. Caught the ball, got the girl off of second by stepping on it, and then this caught the girl that was trying to tag up from first to second back to first, trying to go back to first. So I have been in the stadium for a almost unassisted, as close to unassisted as you can get triple play. That was pretty cool to see. I'm trying to think of stuff in the broadcast because everything kind of just washes away and nothing really like is in the top of the head of like super rare that I can't believe I just saw that moments in the top of my head right now. Oh, geez. Why don't you go? You say something. I'll try to think of something.
I would have to say,
you know what? Because this one gets me heated. It wasn't something that I broadcasted, but I always bring it up because, dang, if this is just the epitome of Royals baseball, I don't know what is. Against the Indians, but ball gets hit in the center field. It should be the third out of the inning, but it hits a seagull. And it ends up being a walk-off base hit because it hits the bird. It gets away from Coco Crisp.
Oh, wow.
You remember that. You have to remember that. That's like one of the things in Cleveland baseball lore.
So that was like what, 2005 or something?
I think it was probably early 10s, like 2010. Like Coco Crisp was near the end of his career. He was playing in Kansas City. I think he was only there for like a year. But I feel like it was a little bit. I mean, obviously, it's late enough that I remember watching it. I don't know. I just remember being so dumbfounded that I can't believe I just saw a ball go off of a bird in center field.
Yeah, that's
like what the heck?
Well, how about like those video? I think there was a picture recently, maybe before the start of the year. But like I think it was Randy Johnson did it too.
Yeah, the bird. He hits the bird.
Killed a bird in spring training. The bird just like exploded. Yeah, so that's really rare. But as far as what I remember Asdrubal Cabrera's. He had an unassisted triple play like in 2011. So I remember that one really well. I would say Austin Jackson, the fact that he caught the ball in 2017, his leaping catch at Fenway, just him being able to come down with that was like pretty unbelievable as well. But
I'm trying to think of things on YSN right now. So how about the one of the like the strangest games I think we've broadcasted that is like in my mind right now, and I'm thinking of it. I didn't broadcast it, but I remember it. There was a basketball game. I think it was Jamie Thompson and Anthony Romo did it. It was Springfield and Poland. It went into like 4 or 5 overtimes. It was to the point when like we were sitting there thinking, are they going to run out of players to come off the bench because people are fouling out? It was ridiculously long. It was one of those basketball games. It's like once in a lifetime. You don't see games go this far. Ridiculous game. And that was
I remember that.
And then I remember there was a year when some of our football announcers were like still calling a game at like 11 o'clock because there was a long lightning delay. in the middle of the game, and they didn't end the game. They kept playing. But I remember like texting some of our guys like, man, late night for you, because it's still 11 o'clock and their game's still going on.
Yeah, that was.
Do you remember? And it wasn't as bad as that, but like the next year, week 1 of our first audible call, we were like rocked with weather.
Oh yeah, because the system crashed, right? I remember that.
We had like 3 or 4 just delays. So audible calls started at 7, but a lot of games didn't even start until like 7:30, 7:45.
Yeah,
that was an eventful week 1.
Yeah, that was wild.
I don't even know if you were there for that. Like, I don't even know if that was. Did you start audible call from the jump?
Yeah, I was there that night. Yeah, it was crazy.
Man,
like locally, as far as what I've seen, because I haven't, like I've done a couple games with you. We can't do football, but like YSU, the year they made it to the title game, that I still like. I can't believe that catch.
I can't believe I forgot about this, Scotty. This was before YSN, well before YSN. South Range versus Springfield basketball. It got on SportsCenter. It was in I forget what year. Honestly, I'm not going to guess a year. I don't think I was in high school yet. It was like my middle school years, so probably like between 06 and 09, somewhere in that area. We're playing Springfield at Springfield. I was there. I remember being there. I just wasn't in the high school student section. And South Range is down by, 1 or something. They have the ball with like 0.5 seconds left, but they have to throw the ball all the way down the court. It's over. Game's over. AJ Andre, do you remember who he throws it in from the inbound, right? Chucks it half like down the court. Kids just jump up for it. Scotty, I kid you not, it goes off a Springfield player's head and into their hoop. Good. South Range wins.
Off the head and in.
Yeah.
Like in baseball.
That'll never happen again, ever. And it's just one of those things, like, I can't believe that wasn't the first thing that came to my mind. Like, being in spring, like, that's our big rival. It's the biggest rival in the school, because it was back when we were both in the same conference. Everyone hated Springfield. It's Springfield. And especially in basketball, so you look at the history, Springfield kind of dominates that matchup in boys basketball. So to beat Springfield in Springfield like that was just like, it was nuts. We stormed the court. Like, you don't see high school storm the court too often. We were storming the court.
No, that is crazy. But like maybe that was. I mean, you talked about that was well before YSN.
Yeah, that was before YSN, but it was still got on SportsCenter because they had the coaches cam of it, got it perfectly. You can find it on YouTube, I bet. I don't know what. I'm pretty sure if I ever find it on YouTube, Scotty, I will send it to you. But it's awesome.
I mean, they were good. I'm probably guessing they were established pretty solid before that. But did you think like sports, like almost like that was like you didn't know it at the time, but it almost ended up being like an omen, like a turnaround for South Range?
I don't know, because they were maybe not in the boys basketball scene. They weren't like a world beater in boys basketball at that point, and they still haven't won a district. They're still trying to get their first district championship in the program. Came really close to it last year. They ran into that immensely unbelievable team in districts, but it seems like that's what South Range is always doing. They're running into a buzzsaw in districts before they can win a district championship. But I feel like even before that, they had Chris Hatch, they had Jimmy Sanders in basketball. They were good in basketball. They just can never get that over that hump. And I feel like it was just one of those things that it was more of the
but
It was more of an importance of the Springfield rivalry, right? Because like before that, South Range was always kind of. I mean, we felt like the little brother in boys basketball to Springfield, you know. So to go to Big Brother's house and beat him like that, just it felt really good as a Raider, you know, to go to Big Brother's house and win in an unbelievable way. Now looking back on it, that poor kid from Springfield probably never lived that down ever, you know. His buddies still probably give him a hard time about it, you know.
Like how do you recover from that?
You don't recover from it, and you know that rivalry for Springfield and South Range, it ran deep, and obviously we had their number in football, you know, and they had our number in basketball. So it was just one of those things. It was a really cool moment in a rivalry game at your rival spot to go and do that.
Yeah, could you imagine, like, what was, like, in your rival spot? Like, do you remember, could you hear a pin drop?
That's like, Scotty, that's like Cleveland going to Pittsburgh and winning on a walk-off missed field goal return for a touchdown. You know, like, it's kind of one of those things. It would be something even more rare than that because that's happened before. I've never seen a kid have a basketball go off his head into the hoop. So it'd have to be like Cleveland going into Pittsburgh and winning in a way that you've never even seen before happen in football.
Yeah. I remember, which isn't
a
really
2-point safety, right? Which can happen. A 1 point. You can get 1 point in football, and you do it if you get a safety on the extra point. So if some ridiculous reason you're kicking an extra point and the ball goes all the way back to your own end zone and it's a safety for you, the other team gets 1 point. It's the only way in football to score just 1 point.
Has that ever happened?
No, it's never happened in the history of football.
Okay.
There's a great YouTube video about all these different like score possibilities that can happen in football. And that's one of the things that, like, technically the rule book, it can happen. It's never happened before. It'll probably never happen. But if you like, because we've seen teams score on a 2-point conversion the other way, you get 2 points for that. But if you get a safety on an extra point, it's 1 point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredibly rare. I never really even thought about that. I mean, and this isn't even that rare.
If you run back for a touchdown, you get 2. Even if it's an extra point, you get 2. But if it's a safety, I don't know why the rules have it like this, but if it's a safety, you don't get your normal 2 points for a safety. You get 1 point.
1 point.
1 point.
Yeah, I wonder why. But it's like, I remember the one Browns game I was at. They lost it was on Monday Night Football, and they lost on a kick 6. The Ravens blocked their potential game-winning kick.
Georgia Tech won like that against Florida State. When Florida State was like number 5 in the nation, they were trying to stay undefeated, and we blocked a field goal, ran it back for a touchdown to upset Florida State. That was fun.
Yeah, that is a lot of fun.
Wow. What else is on your mind, Scotty? Let's pivot to another question that you have, as we have just a couple of minutes left. If you have a quick one.
Yeah, I do have another quick one. I'm glad a lot of cool stuff we talked about today. I thought so. I'm glad we got to cover the rarities in sports. But But real quick, we're getting closer and closer to the high school football season, and I don't know if you've seen, Anthony, but all these quarterbacks now in the NFL getting like mega deals, of course, and locally sports and talking about high school, players don't get paid. But I want to know for you, what are some guys that maybe aren't quarterbacks, maybe they play another position, that going into this season you would say are like worth if players were going to get paid like they would be, what are some guys that you think are going to be Sherlock stars that maybe aren't all quarterbacks going into the year?
All right, I'm listening. The first name pops in my head. Ysn Christian Lynch. Kid's a monster. He's a beast. He has the genes. He has the football heritage in his family. Christian Lynch is going to be a monster this year for Ysn. That's the first name that pops in my head. And I'm going to go with my gut on that one, and I'm going to go with Christian Lynch from Ysn.
Christian Lynch. I'll remember that
You
name.
write that down. You write that down, and we'll come
sure,
back.
yeah.
We'll come back at the end of the football season and see how good that prediction was.
Did you since we're on, you brought up Ursuline, and we only got a couple minutes, because I thought, as far as Mooney goes, they made some progress
They
last
made
year.
progress last year. Like Mooney is slowly but surely like regrouping back to what they were in the past. Like Mooney's going to be better this year, and I think this is going to be a year for Mooney where everyone starts to realize what's on the horizon and they all start to get nervous. Like it might not happen this year. They might not be world beaters this year, but I think this is the year where you start to see things really starting to come together, and there are going to be a lot of people that are going, "Uh-oh, Mooney never really went away." Like they were dormant for a little bit, but this monster called Mooney doesn't ever go away. And I think this is the year where people are going to start to realize that.
And then on the flip side, because I've taken so much enjoyment in the holy war over the years, between Mooney and Ursuline, what do you think about Ursuline all together this year, and not just this year, but for these next maybe couple years?
Ursuline's still going to be one of the more talented and dynamic teams in the Ysn family. They've been talented for the last 5 or 6 years. That's not going to change. So I think they're still going to be very good. Obviously, Ursuline, Mooney, these teams always put together ridiculously tough schedules. So I'm interested to see how some of their new guys handle it. Like there are some things to be replaced, but I think they're still going to be a very, very talented, good team. So I'm excited for Ursuline. I think Mooney's going to make it a lot closer this year, though, when you talk about that holy war. And I know Ursuline has kind of had that number for a little bit, but I think Mooney's closing the gap. And I'm not going to sit here and say Mooney's going to win this year. I'm not going to be that bold, but I think Mooney's making it closer.
Well, and it was last year too, right, Anthony? Didn't Mooney? They had the opening loss to Boardman, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought they really kind of rebounded nicely after that. So
their defense played well all season. Boardman too, actually. Boardman's defense, for the most part, played pretty good football all year. It says Mooney's offense had to take a while to find their rhythm. That's another team like Boardman. I think if they continue to play really good defense and maybe make some strides on offense, they can be a lot better this year than they were a year ago.
I think so too, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
Time to wrap it up, Scotty. Unfortunately, we have reached the midnight hour. Want to remind everybody, Austintown is playing right now. They are up 2-0 as they go into, I believe that's going to be the bottom of the second inning against Illinois. And if they win today, they'll play later tonight against Missouri. So keep an eye on that. ESPN Plus is where you can watch that. Scotty, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this week like you do every week. We'll see you next Wednesday, and we'll see all of you guys tomorrow on Running Point. As always, brought to you by Greenwood